Hi, good evening. How you doing? This is Gbogbo Swagger and this is Swaggerslifestyle. Hope you're good. Hope you had an amazing day. Hope you're still having an amazing day. Today, this is a conversation that I am super excited to have. But on the flip side, a lot of things have been happening in recent times where we see people crying, they've lost their loved ones, they've lost their investments, they lost their property. Why? Because buildings have been collapsing in recent times and a lot of lives have been lost, due to that fact. So a lot of people are asking the question that how come buildings collapse? Why do they collapse? What has happened? There's so many questions. What do I have to, put into consideration when I want to build my home or rent a home and all of that. So today we went far and wide. We had to look for someone that is an expert in this field. And, he's here based on recommendation from someone that we know that once the person recommends someone to you, trust me, that person will deliver. So I will not blow his trumpet. I would allow him to please introduce yourself.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is David Onoja. I'm an architect by profession, a real estate developer in the making, in the process. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents in my introduction.
Thank you for honoring our invite. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
He said real estate developer, those are people with the money. Architects, they have money. So that is double streams of income. Architects pays, developing pays, then the selling, the real estate part, selling of the homes too. So that is three different. So it's glad to have you on the show today. So let's go straight to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's go straight to our conversation today. What is the essence of being actively involved in building your dream home?
Okay, like you said, it's a dream home. So a dream that you've seen or an idea you've envisioned for a long time is just, just say for you to go through the process with your professionals, so that every T is crossed, every I is well dotted. So in building your dream home, it's advised that you work with your professionals closely, as close as possible, because this is where you're going to be, at least for a while. It's where you're going to be for a while. So you need to ensure that basic things are in place technically, so that you don't move in and you start seeing things. But if you're involved, not just coming to site, but if you're involved from the design process, we have clients that they want you to walk them through every corner of the building on paper first before we move to the ground. So it's the core. So everything is done and gotten on paper first. We're not reacting. We're planned everything on paper before we move to site. So it's not a system where you go on ground and say, oh, I remember this, let's do this here. Even if you remember something fresh, we have to now take it back to the drawing table and see, okay, if we're doing this and adding this here, does it affect the whole structure members? It's going to be that daunting, then stop the whole thing and start all over. So it's very, very pertinent that as a dreamer, you put it, get involved as much as possible in all the technicalities. It might bore you, but trust me, you need it.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned something about technicalities, so we're going to come to that. But what are the different names for residential building? Can you tell? How can we tell the structural differences?
Different names for residential buildings?
Yes, please.
I'm guessing you mean we were talking about bungalows.
Yes, duplexes. All of that.
Okay. All right, so we have the bungalows, just regular, you don't go a step further, you don't rather, you don't climb up. We have the terrace duplexes, those are the ones that are joined together. We have the semi-detached, like I said, 2-in-1, like majorly, most of them are like a mirror of themselves. We have the standalone duplex. We have the triplexes. We have the monoplexes. So different house types. In the apartment, they go over 3-4 floors on the story height. So in the story height, we have the masonry duplex and different types. So it depends on the client's specifications. And if in the real estate, the things we introduce, we now put it in the eye of the market. If they want it, they come for it. So, but if we have a client that is coming in design specific, so we just work with the specifications, give you what you want.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, what is the process of securing a piece of land, and what are the factors to consider when you are budgeting if you want to build your dream home? So what are the things that you consider, and then how then what are the processes before you secure a piece of land?
Well, this question will be location specific, but let me use Abuja. Abuja as a case study, or as a case study. So in Abuja, one of the things you do before you secure a piece of property that you like is to ensure that this property is well vetted. And how the vetting process goes about is we have what we call the ages. So from the ages, you can take the proposed document, go and do your proper search. So from the proper search, you get the titles, you get all the names. So once all the names on the document that was presented to you aligns to what you have on the system, that is, you're now a safe point. So you ensure that we have the CFO, certificate of occupancy, we have the RFO, right of occupancy. Ensure that these two documents are in place. Then you now have, if you're not the first LLT, the power of attorney that transferred ownership to, if you're buying from someone, has to be registered. To ensure that all those things are properly done, so that you don't get boxed into the whole fraudulent approach, because, like, the real estate sector is where people do a lot of dubious things. So in other parts of Abuja, and these things apply within the city center, in other parts of Abuja where we are out under the AMAC and the likes, you just ensure that if you're going to the local government, these things are well documented on their systems. If you are buying directly from the people that will claim they are the original, the ancestors gave it to them and the likes, just ensure that, because as we all know, all land belongs to the federal government and they've done some mapping. So just ensure that you do your due diligence. In the likes of Lagos, there are different titles that apply to land. So just ensure that for the location specific, you ensure that you do your due diligence, get all the documentation. It might be boring, it might take a while, but trust me, it's good that you get all that done before you pay for this land. And now you mentioned things to consider when trying to build your dream home. Now, location is key. Like we all talk about in real estate, location is key. So if the location suits what you have in mind as the end user, then perfect. So if you want within the city center, that means you must be ready to go with what the set specifications are, because you might just buy a piece of land and the government might tell you, look, you cannot do 1 duplex here, you must do 6 duplexes. So a lot of people are now boxed there. Oh, how do we do this anyway? You just ensure that from development control, this is what we call development control in Abuja here. You go with development control, know what is applicable for that land before you just start. In fact, you can never move to site until you have a design approved. You understand? So you have your location tied down. And once you have a location tied down, you now get the professionals on board. Call your architect. He comes up with a design proposal, liaising with the government to know what's applicable for that location. So once those things are met, then he involves the other professionals, the engineers, mechanical, electrical, structural, because we have to have a complete blueprint set. So that's a complete set of drawing that is taken to the authorities for approval. The approval process takes a while, but trust me, you need to get it done before you move to site. Because if you move to site, Abuja is my case study, so work with me. If you move to site without your approval process, without your approval, your conveyance letter and all that, you get penalized, you get fined, and your work of course, that's where some of those sites, you see the stop work sign. Some of the sites, some of the sites, at the end of the day, if they keep going, demolition and all that goes on. So you just waste money for moving to site without your authorities. Also, when buying these lands, know the land use, know the type of land you're buying. Is it a commercial land? Is it residential? Is it the green area? Is it the waterway? Know all those things so that someone will not market. You want the residential land, they market the commercial land, and at the end of the day, you start having all those issues. And also, just know the land use, the type of land. I've already mentioned research and documentation. Know the guiding laws for that location. Now, there's something called the density. One of the projects we worked on recently, you can see a street. One side of the street is high density, the other side is is medium density. So at this side, we can do 3 floors, 4 floors. On this side, you can just do 2 floors. So it's kind of tricky. So you must know all those details. So you don't just You don't just rush in and realize, did this guy cheat
Wait
me
a
or not?
minute.
Yeah, he didn't cheat you. You just, due diligence wasn't done. What else to consider? Research and documentation. I mentioned that. And also, if we're not moving to site upon a final approval, ensure the setting out is done, because the development control, they're not smiling with us. They'll come and measure certain things to ensure it's done. Your foundation depth is in place. So now as the owner, you now get to see that, oh, what was specified, even if you don't understand. So if your architect is doing the design, if they're doing the construction, you might want to involve like an external engineer to checkmate what they're doing. You understand? To see that, oh, certain things are in place, the rods are in place, all the members, the mix ratio is in place, everything is now in place according to the specification. Because now if you try to cut corners, and at the end of the day, you just see it. Sometimes you don't even get very far. You start seeing the cracks in the wall. The building starts failing. I'll give you a quick example. There's a project we're working on right now. One of the projects outside Abuja, and when we got contacted we did our analysis. Now this client, they've started the work, they've gone to the first floor, about casting the first floor deck, and started seeing some defects. So they called us, went with the team, we did our analysis, wanted us to take over the job. We told them we can't take over this job because look, we're seeing so many things. Bottom line, the client had to take down the building, and we started from the scratch all over. Yeah, he has spent like good millions already. He just had to, because that's like his dream home. So he didn't involve the right professionals. So he took it down, and now we're doing everything due diligence. Yeah, so those are things that you do preventive maintenance. Let me use that word, and not corrective. So you ensure that things are well done, so that at the end of the day, you're not starting damage control, trying to patch here. So, yeah, so those are like quick tips.
Okay, thank you for that. So when that aspect where you tell us who are the professionals that we need to involve in our dream home. But before that, what soil type and texture is best for construction?
I would say, well, because now this I know we're talking to the world, and technology has made a lot of things way easier. You can build on any type of soil, but now here's the thing: before you build on a certain, there's what we call the soil test. I didn't mention that. It's what we call the soil test. So a soil test has to be carried out. Now the soil test will now determine, one of the things it does, it determines the bearing capacity of the soil. So that bearing capacity of the soil now determines the kind of foundation that we would propose and we will introduce. And there are different types of foundation: the pad, the raft, the pile, depending on what the soil test brings out. So you understand? So the safest, one of the safest is the different types: clay, loamy, sandy, whatever. But the most important thing here, I won't say this is the best. This is the most important thing here is the soil test gives us the foundation. So it gives us the type of foundation we're going to use. So if we follow that, the result from the soil test, it now influences what the engineer designs as the final foundation. So once we have that as the base to carry the building, it can take anything. So the load bearing capacity of that soil, you understand? The soil test brings all that data out. So soil test is done, a land, different points are taken, and it gives you, like one of the projects we are about starting, the same land, we have different soil. So a part of the land, we are going to use like a raft foundation. Another part of the land, we're going to use like a regular strip. So because of what the soil test has recommended. So I won't say it's a loamy soil, I won't say it's a clay soil, I won't say it's large, I won't say it's a rocky. So it depends on what this data gives. So we work with data, but I will not say, the land is red, you can do, no. We work with what the data gives, so that because settlement happens. So the soil test has gone into the future to give you like raw data. So that's what we work with.
So with the soil test, it helps you know the type of foundation that would go into the house. Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, when you were talking earlier, you were saying how a lot of professionals need to come on board. So now a regular family of, let's say, 4, they want to build their dream home, and you are having to do lots of research, lots of this. So at the end of the day, it looks as if building your house is going to be expensive. So before we get there, what can you tell us the professionals that need to be involved in building? Because, you know, in times past, you just want to meet one Baba Lagbaja or Mr. This. I want to build a 4-bedroom. I want to build a 3-bedroom. Give me cost. So yeah, go ahead and all of that. But I think now a lot of people are aware that maybe things like that, you know, it's not really good. But sometimes, you know, on the flip side, a lot of people have built their homes that way and they are still living in the homes. The homes are strong, there's no problem and all of that. So how do we strike a balance?
Well, you know, just the way a building has a life, you understand? And it has a lifespan, let me put it that way. So how you take care of your life example, how you take care of your body determines you eat healthy, you do all that and all that. So a building has a life. So it might look like it is what it is right now. It looks solid. Oh, we don't need the professionals and all. But I tell you, it's just a matter of time before you start seeing these things. So talking about professionals, well, we are all aware. I don't want the engineers to follow me on this, but anyway, we're all aware that the architects are the king of the construction and the building industry. So the architect, it's not because I'm an architect, it's just pathway. Yeah, so he's the king of the building because actually without the concept or the idea from him, the engineers really have nothing to work with. You understand? So they come in and bring structural, and we'll work with the structural engineer. Comes in, he's like the backbone, brings the spine, does the columns and all that, shows us what to do, the foundation type and all. Then we have the mechanical engineers. They are the ones responsible for all the plumbing, fittings, water supply, waste disposal and all. We have the electrical engineers. They're responsible for all the electrical, the fittings, lighting and all, connecting to the power mains and all. Then for high class, we have the civil engineers, road and all that. Then we also have the quantity surveyors. They are the ones that help in getting the cost, the bill of quantities. So it gives your client a tentative amount of how much he's going to spend. He can spend less, he can spend more, depending on variations and all. So we have the quantity surveyors. We also have the surveyors themselves. There's the surveyors, estate surveyors and all. For large projects, they help towards mapping out where the buildings would be during the setting up process. So these are like the key professionals that we work closely with. It's not a one-man, it's not the architect's world alone. We have to work with these professionals to ensure that the building comes out properly. Yeah.
And I'm sure
towards finishing, we are going to work with other professionals, the interior designers, but those ones are like you don't talk about painting, for instance, at the beginning of the building. Once the building is now solid, then you talk about the finishing. So finishing is a different ballgame.
Thank you for that. So by the time someone like me sits down and counts the cost of all these people that they are going to pay, because all these people, they are bringing their expertise to the table. So by the time you pay this, at the end of the day, how much will it cost to build a home?
Well, you know, the thing is that, as I like to tell some of my clients, if you're going to spend, relatively, let me just be safe, 20 million on a house. If you're not spending at once, but you're going to spend, today you drop 5 million, tomorrow you drop 10 million, tomorrow you drop 2 million, and it accumulates all the way to 20 million for this house. What will it cost you to spend a percentage to ensure that this and certain things are done properly? You understand? So if you shy away from these things and you want to spend this amount, at the end of the day, you don't want to pay for what seemingly looks like a paper. You understand? The blueprint of what is going to be done, you don't want to pay for it. You want to just shallow everything. Then at the end of the day, when you have defects, oh, please come on. You think we were not involved in the beginning. You understand? So it's not that expensive because there are professional fees that obviously has to be paid. You understand? But say the service-based industry, we can have a good relationship and make it work. You understand? So yeah, so many times we don't go professional fee and all that, but yeah, you just need to involve the professionals.
Okay, thank you for that. So someone sent me a message, I think that was sometime last year, and the person sent me pictures and said he wanted to sell his house, like he had like some bungalows and wanted to sell. So I said, okay, so what's the title of the land? And he said chief's title. Chief's title.
Okay.
So what is that? Because it was like chief title. What's that?
That's in Abuja, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, Abuja, there are different phases. You understand? There's a phase 1, there's a phase 2, there's a phase 3. So the phase 3 is towards the airport road. I don't want to mention some locations. So those locations are a little bit tricky, where the and it's under what we call the AMAC. So for those locations, their due diligence has to go to a whole new level, because it's under the government, federal government, but it's not fully mapped out yet. So you have all those chief titles, you have all those AMAC papers, you have all those things here and there, and also that is one of those papers. So he just has to ensure that, like, man, take it down to
I'm sure maybe that's why he wanted to sell on time.
Well, people still buy and sell there, but it's still, yeah.
So what's the best land title to buy?
In Abuja, it's going to be a CFO.
That's the best.
That's the safest.
Okay.
But just ensure it's not forged anyway.
Sorry?
Ensure it's not forged.
Because this Abuja, there's a lot of scammers out there when it has to do with
a lot.
So when you were talking about the structural buildings and all of that, which is the best and safest or durable in all of the different types that you mentioned?
How do you mean?
Okay, now I asked you the different types of residential buildings and all of that. So we talked about bungalows, we talked about semi-detached and all of that. So based on durability and safety, which is the best, or which would you recommend that families should build?
You know,
I don't think I've seen a bungalow that collapsed before. I don't think I've seen one.
True. But this question,
so what do you recommend?
This question is usually to the user specific. You understand? And why these buildings collapse? Why these buildings collapse? Because they didn't meet some.
Let me put it this way: architecturally, which one would you recommend?
I always recommend. Look, I'm of the school of thought that obviously lands are becoming scarce. You understand? So the days where our parents get to spread big bungalow all over, those days are within this metropolis. Those days are gone. You don't even have that luxury of land. Even in Abuja now, they don't get to approve a bungalow, except you go to phase 3 and all those other places, you see bungalows. You understand? So I won't say I can't remember last time I did the bungalow. You understand? So the world has evolved more than where we are playing right now. You understand? The world has and different. So I wouldn't want to box this answer to say, oh, just to be safe, just do your bungalow and nothing will happen. You have seen bungalows where even in the bungalow, the POP has fallen on people's head. You understand? It comes down to the professionalism. It comes down to the due processes that was followed, that is followed in the process. So I won't say the bungalow is safe or go back to the hot system because nothing will fall on your head. No, I would always come back to say, get it done properly. You might, like for foundation, for instance, you might spend like one of the buildings, just a three-story that we did. We spent over 3 months in the foundation. The clients are like, what are you guys doing? We know we know what's coming up. So we have to ensure that certain things are done. We carry the authorities along, took all the professionals along. And when we came out of the foundation, buildings are standing today. You don't want to see that, oh, yeah, in this process, then something is already moving to one side and deflecting out. So yes, once the foundation is solid, and every other thing starts connecting together. So I won't say it's a bungalow, I won't say it's a duplex. Like for me, we're supposed to be at the stage where we're already doing skyscrapers and glass towers, but I don't
think we're ready for that.
Yeah, you get my point. So if we're talking about what is safe, if it's a bungalow, we still have a long way to go. But yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So let's go to the comment section. We have a lot of people. So we have Olufunlola Motayo. Welcome to Swagger's Lifestyle. Welcome our guests. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
So we have Lina Gina's Corner. I'm interested in this talk. Thanks, Funke, for bringing it up. Thank you so much for tuning in, Ma. So we have Tirano School. You are welcome, dear architect. You have started well with possession. Thank you so much, sir, for tuning in. So we have Patricia Okai. I am here, excited to learn already. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hi, Olabeju, saying hi. So we have Ekanem, good stuff. Thank you so much for that feedback. Olufumlala Matai says, please building our dream home. Do you advise a very high fence? Is it safe considering the security of our country? That's a question for you.
A very high fence, no, because I won't say no. Let me be very careful because I work with clients from the north. That's what they like. So, but now here's the thing. A door, right? Let me use an example. A door is both for entry and both for exit. So you can shut yourself in, shut every other person out. But if you're now stuck in the house with the people you don't want in the house, you understand, and nobody can hear you externally. So if they finally make it into that your compound and nobody can come to your rescue easily, it now becomes a negative point. So like I said, these things are down to the user specific. Building is like an art. It's like fashion itself. What fits you might not fit another person. What suits you might not suit another person. You understand? So a high fence works majorly in the north, like it works majorly, and that's because religion specific, and also because of the sand dunes and all that stuff. So it gets to reduce all that. Yeah. So I won't say lock it or box yourself in. Once you have a good neighborhood, within an estate, for instance, most of these estates that we work on, they are now non-gated because you already have the major perimeter fence. You understand? But if it's going to be an individual development, I think here just an average level, then have a good perimeter. If you can afford an electric fence, fine. If you cannot, do the regular barbed wire. You can install a CCTV camera for your own protection. Do all those automated systems. They can connect to alternative power rather than just the conventional take the block up. At the end of the day, if you need help, nobody can easily get access to you. So that's the way I like to look at it for balance.
Thank you for that. Olufun, I think he has answered your question. If you need to more clarification, please drop it in the comment section. So we have Nina Jima's corner saying, and Nigerians are so good at cutting corners. It cost so many lives few months ago. So sad. So I think that's when we're talking about putting things into place before you build. So we have Musa saying prevention is better than cure. Hi, Musa, thank you for connecting. So Lina Jima's corner is saying, how safe is it to spend 5 years building a house?
How safe is it to spend 5 years building a house? 5 years
building a house.
It's not. I'm trying to understand if this question is leading to another question, but it's not about the longevity of how you spend. It's about the quality of what is being done. If you spend 5 years cutting corners, or you spend 5 years not following the standards, at the end of the day, it's still going to come back. You understand? It's still going to. So, and now if you spend 5 years, obviously the cost of the building goes like, well, in Nigeria, the inflation rate is crazy. So once your project timeline has gone, if what you started with and what you end with, you're going to spend almost, maybe safe to even say times 5, because the project we started in beginning of 2020 and we're finishing towards the end of 2021. Things are different. So it's not about I want to stay 5 years. You understand? If you are staying 5 years because of cash flow, then that's understandable. Once you have the cash and plunge in, ensure that what you're plunging into is done properly. But if you say, oh, I want to let the building stand first before I move into it and all that stuff, the building has a life. If you build it and you don't even stay inside, it begins to deteriorate. You understand? The wood and all those things begins. That's why you come into your house, you wonder if you leave your house for a while, you come back, the wood and all those things are now, because it feels the life of humans. You know? So it's not about the time, it's not about the longevity, it's about the legality. Like, let's get it done properly. So even if you leave it and you have money in 2-3 years time, you come back and continue, solid. Things are solidly done. Yeah. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much for that. Ma, I hope you have answered your question. If you have further questions, please drop it in the comment section. So we have Ekanem saying, architect knows his stuff. Great stuff. Thank you so much for that. We have Koinsola Fakeye, a solid foundation. Peace out. Olufunlola Mota is saying, what size of block is best for fence?
What size of block is best for fence? Well, we use conventionally here, we use the 225. Let me convert, that's 9 inches. It's not like the best of the best, but that's like one of the biggest blocks we have. They are concrete blocks. They are, you can have a retaining wall depending on the, so yeah, but for one of the safest, the size of the blocks we use conventionally is the 9 inches blocks. Yeah, it's safe enough to carry basic things. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So 9 inches it's good for building your fence. So we have Lena Jima's corner saying, I hear Nigerians are moving away from using blocks to something else. How real is that?
Yeah, we've been trying different building approach or building method. Like I know a time we had tried polystyrene for the non-load bearing walls, so maybe like partitions, you know. At some point, we've also tried aerated concrete. We did the math. On paper, it looked kind of cheaper, but on ground, it was slightly more expensive because of the formwork and all. So yeah, it's about time we try different forms of building method in town, because we have been boxed to a conventional, or we box ourselves to a conventional block and mortar system. And so, like I already said earlier, the first world has evolved more than where we are. The use of steel, the use of wood, of course, well-treated wood and all already in place, like, because there's so much the block can just do. You know, the higher you go, the lesser the loading of the building should be. So if we keep loading the block all the way, it becomes really heavy. So these guys, once the foundation and basic things are in place, they have different forms for cladding and all, cutting walls here and there. Those things help. Yeah, aluminium, so different things. So depending on, as far as it's not the load bearing wall, so the load, as far as it's not the main structural member, so the main structural members are the columns and the beams. Any other thing for the partition, they use it. So a place where you have a toilet, for instance, you can decide to use complete fiberglass or something. A place where you have a kitchen. So people are innovative. Yeah. So yeah, we're all open for that.
Thank you for that. So Olafunlola is saying king architects. Olufunlola is saying yes, so architects are the king. Yeah, right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we have Tyranno's School saying, whatever you are building in life, physical, business, family, even spiritual, check your foundation well. Thank you so much, sir, for that. So we have Godwin Miracle clapping, laughing, and he's saying, get it done properly. So we have Father A. Christie saying hello. Hello, thank you for tuning in. We are here with questions, so please drop your comments. There are questions in the comment section and we'll take them. So we have Victor. Hi, Victor. Joined late. Did he mention anything about an alternative method of construction? That's a question for you.
Okay, alternative methods of construction.
Of construction, yes.
What are we constructing now? Because now, for the processes we use for a duplex is slightly different from the processes we use for a skyscraper. You understand, but basic things are still in place. So if we're talking about, I
think he's asking about alternative method of construction. I think maybe that's what you talked about. Maybe the brick and the mortar, the using of wood. I don't know if that's
okay,
what
if alternative
as alternative method of construction.
Well, if that's what it's referring to, then that's fine. But if it's referring to the processes, rather than use the maybe like a more mechanized system, because now if you're working on a project where there's a time constraint, I know obviously the mechanized system is very necessary. Rather than have like 10 persons dig like a foundation, you can have a machine or two do the same thing. A casting that will take 2 days, you can have a machine do that. So if we're talking about speed, And because we've tried these things, this was the site, we decided to use the ready mix machine, and in less than 3 hours, it was done. And the same size, we did manual, and we spent 2 days, almost 3 days in casting the same square area. You understand, doing manual, people carrying everything. And all. So when is time bound? So if you spend mechanized, you might spend slightly more, but if you're working with time, you get to achieve a lot more. So if those are the alternatives you're talking about, having to use machines in place of human strength, then yeah, we ought to do that.
Okay, so Victor, I hope he has answered your question. If you need further clarification, please drop it in the comment section. So we have Chidebere. Hi, Chidebere. Great topic.
Hi.
I really enjoyed this program because I have had the chance to work with architects, and his work is great. Thank you so much for this feedback. Thank you so much for tuning in. So we have Father Christy. What do you think about using bamboo as a replacement for steel in terms of reinforcement?
Well, I've seen a little bit about that research, but bamboo, yeah, bamboo is a very, we use it for props and bracing for casting and all, but for it replacing steel is the research that we've not fully proven. You understand? I've seen a short documentary on that, but not in Nigeria anyway. I've seen a short documentary on that, on how it works. Because back in the days, our parents actually used these bamboos for the mix with mud and did some other things here, but with cement and all. It's not fully proven yet, but yeah, like I said, people are working on these things and are evolving. So yeah, we're open for that. Once it's tested positively right, we will try it out on a small project first before we go for it.
But sometimes when I see some homes built out of the country, outside of Nigeria, and some that are built in Nigeria, I say the people and the weather sometimes might not make it happen in Nigeria.
True, very true.
So we have Tirana School say, thank you so much, Funke, for great moderation, and our speaker for sharing on this topic. Thank you so much, sir, for the feedback. I'd like to say, really learning a lot here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Godwin Miracle, not longevity, but quality. 5 years, inflation is going to hit hard. So he was actually adding to what you said earlier. Hi, Desmond Bakare. Thank you for tuning in. So we have Glass Entertainment Global saying, architect extraordinary. Thank you for tuning in. So Patrick is saying, what about the red bricks? Are they safe for Nigerian weather?
Red bricks, yes. They're one of the safest, yeah. We've proven along through the years. And we use them in a more, no, it's not really cheap again, no, because we now use them in a more modified, polished way. Yeah, they're not that cheap. They're not that cheap anymore. Yeah, it cools faster. It's weather rated and all. Yeah, it really works. It does work. Yeah, it works. It's been tested and it still works up to now. Yeah, so it's good.
Thank you for that. Sweet Oster, thank you very much. Really learning a lot. Thank you for tuning in. Olufunala is saying, please, architect, do you advise an open wide gate or a one-sided rolling back gate? I'm beginning to think that Olufunala is building because all her questions are.
Yeah, I guess so.
So over to you, architect.
Well, one of the essence for this sliding gate of a thing, it saves you a lot of space. You understand? So you just slide it by the wall. So if you have the luxury of space to swing the gate open, that gives you a lot of turning radius for your cars and all, then fine, it still works. Because the sliding gate, if it's not properly hinged, there have been a lot of accidents when you roll it to the end and it gets to fall on the user. And also that's one of the major disadvantages of the sliding gates that I've seen over time. So sliding gate still works for me personally because it can be easily automated and all. You can still automate the swing, but yeah, but one of the things I watch out for is ensure that you don't roll it to the end because it can just roll out of the rail and it falls on the individual. So that is the only. So, but if you have luxury of space, then go for the swing. The swing still works. You understand? So it goes for safety, For safety wise, I would say it's even faster to roll the sliding gate if maybe someone wants to attack you than to start. You want to run on this side to swing. Those you have those abuki. One is swinging here, he locks the sound first, he comes and locks the other one second. You get. So yeah, those are things to watch out for.
Thank you so much for that. So please, if you have questions, please drop it in the comment section and we'll ask our guests. So back to our conversation.
All right.
What makes a building collapse and how can you prevent it?
All right. I know we're waiting for this part of the question since. Well, one of the things that makes the building collapse, the foundation, like we already mentioned, is very key. One of the things you don't toy with, and I tell my clients not to really rush me on, is the foundation. So if we're spending, obviously we'll produce what we call the program of works and we get things done. And if we've done the soil test and all that stuff, but if we start this foundation, because the building, the ground settles and it keeps settling after a while. So the foundation should be properly done. Now, as the foundation is done, we don't just jump to start, oh, let's start digging. No. We ensure that as the blueprint is done and every engineer, every stakeholder has brought in their input, this blueprint now is like a legal tender. Is a binding document. So if you come on ground and you notice that we are not doing this, we're not doing this, that's a red flag. So now one of the things why this building collapsed is that in the construction process, if you get it right on paper, in the construction process, a lot of people start to cut corners in the use of materials, in the use of the specifications of things that needs to be done. We start to cut corners. Then the timeline for this project, if maybe a concrete is supposed to cure for like 3 weeks, that's 21 days, 28 days, depending. We rush these things and we don't water it properly. Settlement always occurs, you understand? So that's one of the, another thing is, like I already mentioned, the building has a life. If it's poorly maintained, it gets to deteriorate, you understand? For buildings that go up, there are more things to even consider. There's the wind load, there's the life load, there's dead load, there's the wind action that has to be considered. You understand? In all these buildings. So if those ones are not considered during the design process and southwest trade wind, whatever comes, the deflection sometimes might not be so obvious. The reactions are gentle. And sometimes you might see the crack on the wall. Sometimes it might just be somewhere, it might be a buckle, you understand? And the building starts failing. So if you don't see it to correct it immediately, it's just like something hits your spinal cord at the major core and you realize you're paralyzed. So once it now hits the major core of the building, that's where the building goes down. But before it hits that major core, you might be feeling some pains somewhere. I'm just trying to use human anatomy to describe. So that's how the building works. Yeah, that's how the building works. So you might see there might be a crack somewhere, here. If you don't start attending to it, it's going to fail. Inadequate structural element is also key. So a place where the specification for maybe a Y25, we say, no, Y system will work. All those professionals will say, no, it's supposed to be a Y20. No, Y system will work. Then you just go ahead with the Y system. Saving money right now that will cost you more money later. That is another thing. The faulty methods, like I already mentioned, once the methods are not in place, the faulty method of ensuring that, when it comes to this, when you come on ground, one of the jobs of the professional, like I like to tell my team, is we're here to look out for problems. So we get the problems now, we solve it now, not that later. So rather we do prevent than to come and be correcting later. So we go on sites where my job is to look for problems, like why is it not here? Why is it not here? Yeah. So we draw all the artisans on ground and correct. You understand? So substandard materials also, people want to, you go for the substandard material, you want to save costs now and you spend more later, you understand? So another thing that causes deterioration and at the end of the day collapse, moisture, the uprise of water. Key, you wake up in your house and it's water all over the place. I know people are not treating these foundations properly. You understand? You're not treating it properly. So at the end of the day, it affects the structural members, affects the overall stability, and and also there's what we call the loading of the building. Now, if the building has been designed for a certain amount of both, that's what we call the life load, the dead loads, and if it has been designed for that, and the building is overloaded, you understand? There's, because in the construction and the calculation process, these things are calculated for it. So that what now determines the slab thickness, determines the beam, determines all that, all those members. If these things are not properly done, and maybe a building that's supposed to design for 1,000 persons, and we give an allowance for another 1,000, you now load it up, 5,000 people. I know you've seen where stadiums cave in, and so some things were out of place. Maybe they were overloaded, and so many things went out. So those are things that causes collapse and deterioration.
So how do you prevent it?
Back to the drawing board. Use your professionals. Use your professionals. Yeah. Because for a standard project, you don't just use them. You don't just use a set. So you have the consultant part. You have the contractors part. The consultant, their job is to check what the contractors are doing, ensure that everything is properly done. You understand? So that's one of the reasons why you pay top dollar for what we do. Yeah.
Okay.
If the professionals you're using are well licensed, trust me, anybody that wants to go far will know what the cut corners, because your license is in line, your ability to practice is on the line. So yeah.
Okay. So you talked about one of the things that you talked about is when you start seeing crack on the wall and all of that. So now I will use this site, as in, let's say Abuja as the case study. So you'll see some houses where you have cracks and they just tell you go and screech.
Yeah. Come on. There's already a settlement.
They just say go and screech the wall. So is it that anytime you see a crack on the wall, you should call for help? That help, or this house might want to collapse, or
there's already a settlement going on in the building. You understand? Like the most important, not the most, but one of the most important elements or components of the building is the columns and the beams. That's when we're talking about multi-stories. So once the columns and the beams are okay, those are what's carrying the load. Not necessarily the blocks. Most of those cracks are now in the blocks. So if it's in the blocks, it can easily be maintained. But if you are seeing it on the column, auntie, there's a problem, a major structural problem. You understand? That you might need to do a structural integrity test. You might need to do underpinning. You might need to do something to take care of the go back to the foundation to get it done. You understand? So yeah. So when it's just the block for a bungalow, that's okay. The blocks are the major structural member. Then you might need to go down to the foundation, do some adjusting and all. It's what we call underpinning. So you need to like suspend the building, do some treatment under and all the stuff, then arrange the foundation, then load it back. So those are some of the technicalities. But yeah, if it's happening on the structural member, the columns, the beams, you need to cry for help, like immediately.
Thank you so much for that. So you've been talking about, I think you've mentioned use professionals a lot in this conversation. Now, how can you spot an incompetent professional?
Oh, the question is tricky. Not tricky, but I think one of the systems that still works in this part of the world is the referral system. Yeah, so before you use a professional, I think you should be able to know what he has done before or where he has worked before. 1 or 2 persons should be able to vouch for him. And also the professional should have gotten their professional certificate. It should be registered with the body. For an architect, the ACON, and also the NIA. For the engineers, the foreign. So you have those numbers, professional numbers, that you can easily check out these people before you give them the job. But most importantly, you need to go down to the ground to know what have this guy done, who is referring this person to head this team. You understand? So spotting out a professional is good to just go to do a little bit of assignment to know, okay, what have you done before? Go on ground, look at what they've done, I know, past, present projects. So just give some level of safety. Yeah. So you might not just see me and know, can I do it? I can speak all the English and I want to go on ground. The work can be shabby. You understand? So I speak all the English, I get your attention, like, Oga, let's go and see what you've done before. You understand? Let's see your professional certificate. Let's see some other things that would, yeah, these are things to watch out for.
Okay, so I think in addition to that, if you say, "Oh God, let's go and see what you have done before," the person can take you to somebody else's building.
You can take it
So
to,
maybe
yeah, very true.
you can say, "I want to speak to the person that you made this building for, or you built this thing for, so that you'll be able to."
Good.
Yeah, because you know, as the world is evolving, like people are just devising different means to scam people, and all of that. So in order to dot the I's and cross the T's, in as much as you want to use professionals, use the right ones.
True.
Now, when I want to build my dream home, what are the non-negotiables?
Okay. I'm still gonna go back to all I've been saying, man. Sit down with your professional, non-negotiable. Get it right on paper first. Let's get it right on paper first. It might take a while, but get it right on paper first. You understand? One move to ground. One move to site. I'm using site language. One move to the site. Yeah. One move to the site. You ensure that like this question is like all I've been saying. You just ensure that basic things are done, due diligence. If you need someone to check your architect, you understand, because obviously you might need someone on your side as a professional that can be your eyes if you don't really understand the industry, the building industry. So ensure that those things are now properly checked, ensure the whole construction process is well done and everything is in place. Yeah, so those are like the basic non-negotiables. Like, I wouldn't advise that you just move to a project site and just start anything. Government laws are just as important. The government backing was approvable and all is very important. Yeah, so, and all this I said, yeah, for it to come out, for the building to come out properly, you need to ensure that all this I said and much more is put in place. Yeah.
Thank you for that. So which is advisable, building your home yourself or buying from a real estate company or a developer?
Because I'm right in the middle.
Because a lot of developers, they used to cut corners. So I can mention some people here. But it's like, I don't want to mention them, I might be giving them advice. If you see the homes, they are very, very, as in the materials, you can tell that they use substandard materials. So, okay, so from a professional, please advise.
Well, for someone that is involved in both space, my answer is for you to pick what works for you. Now, buying from a developer, I'll say that will save you a lot of stress and headache. So buying from a reputable developer, will save you a lot of stress and headache. But now here's the thing. In building, you can build your dream home with a developer in such a way that there's what we call the off-plan market. So you come in before the project starts. You're just as involved in the process, but this time around, you're paying top dollar for it. So, but you're just as involved in the whole process. But this time around, you can now see everything. You can make changes. You can make adjustments. Like one of our projects, when we got to the finishing stage, we had to send an email to all our clients. But these are let me use tiles. These are the tiles we wanted to procure. Do you like this tile? You want to make some changes? Yes. Some people made changes. Some people say, no, we're fine. You understand? So you now get just as involved. So when you're buying off plan, so you buy off plan, you're working with us in the journey, working with us in the whole process of getting it done. But if you buy a finished project, which is also good, sometimes because the finishing and the furnishing is user specific, what you like, Gbogbo Swagger, I won't like it. You understand? I might not like it. So you might not need to tear down some things, but if you're not in the process buying from a developer, you can easily make those changes, save costs, save time, you understand, get it done. Now, for developers, for people that want to buy homes or that want to live in the city center, for instance, let me use Abuja as my case study. First off, you might not be able to afford the land because a small piece of land in city center, good money. Now, if you even afford the land, you might not be able to afford what the authorities are saying you should build on the land. So you buy a small piece of land, they say you must build an apartment, 12 units, and you just want to build your normal bungalow. They say, no, you can't do that. You understand? So you now have people coming together to co-own a piece of property, co-own, get a piece in city center. Now, if you're not really about, oh, I don't want a city center, I want to stay in my own, have my compound, that kind of thing, I know, then good. There are locations for that. You understand? So you can now build something that also the government will approve for those places. So I'll say it's down to what the end user wants. You understand? Because a lot of people buy homes, and a large percentage also build their own homes. Yeah, and some people are right in the middle. They build the homes with developers. So in any case, it's still a win-win. Yeah, so yeah, but I do both. So I'm like, I won't say this, I won't say that. Yeah.
So you won't advise based on preference.
Yeah, just it's on based on preference. Budgets, everything works.
Okay. So
Budget
now
works,
if I
location
decide
works.
okay. So if I decide to go with a developer, what are the tips to note before buying?
Well, tips to note before buying is the quality of the work they've done before. And if it's a new developer, you should have some level of track record. If they've done something like an individual before, where they've worked before, I know, or even if it's personal project that you can even vouch for, okay, you can see that, oh, this person pays attention to detail up to some sort if it's a new developer. If it's an existing developer that probably you don't know the brand name yet, just do your research to look at the quality of what they've done in the past. You understand? And if it's a brand you already know and you have you've seen some deformities in what they've done before, that means it's either they are working on it to get better, and if they are not, that means those are the things you would have also experienced. You understand? So you just do your groundwork and ensure that, because every development company, they also use professionals. You understand? But the resources they make available to professionals, what the professionals will work. You understand? So you ensure that you just do those basic due diligence. Everything comes on due diligence.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons?
Pros and cons of
Using a developer or going with a developer?
Okay, the pros would be, well, the pros would be you get to, obviously, you get to make your choice of your location. So you're not boxed with, oh, I bought this land in Metama, for instance, I must build in Metama. You understand? So if the developer has development in Metama, has in Wuye, has in Wuse, has here, obviously different price points, you're at liberty to, oh, which location suits the kind of lifestyle I want. You understand? So you are now at liberty to like a buffet, finally settle for one location. You understand? Another pro is that you get to make these changes if they are not so bogus. You get to make these changes to development in the process if you're working with developer on an off-plan basis. Another pro is that you get to select the community of people you like to live with, because now every development is user specific. So particular kind of development that you're paying for, if you're paying top dollar for it, you have an idea of the kind of neighbors you have. You understand? You have, like, you get to control, like, you perceive, oh, if I'm paying 100 million for this, I'm certain my neighbor is paying 100 million for the same property, or 120. Okay, yeah, we have kind of same class of people, sort of. You understand? Then I build my duplex, I wall up my gated environment, my neighbor might build a bungalow. You can't tell who my neighbors are. You understand? So yeah, so the cons. The cons is that you have a lot of shared facility. If that might be a con, you have a lot of shared facility. You might get to share the power generator. You might get to share the utilities. I know. So if there are issues, if you don't have an understanding neighborhood, if there are issues that has to be resolved, you now have to seek here, and those things may delay. While if it's your personal house, you just call, please get it done. But if it's shared, Those are things. Oh, we have. So that's another place where if you have proper facility management plan, those things might not come up. But if you don't, those things don't become an issue. You parked here, is my space, or you spread your water in my line, or all those things. Anyway, those are like basic things. Yeah. So those are like part of the.
You didn't add the part where a lot of them are profit driven, so they look for ways to be able to maximize their profits.
Is that a con? Huh.
Oh, it is.
Well,
because sometimes,
yeah.
even as much as they want to maximize profits, they try to start cutting some corners.
Very true. So it goes back to saying, do your research in a developer. If quality is first, you know that, oh, okay, this guy should give. But if you know that, oh, they go for quantity and try to get more money for doing little, so you don't know. So if you do your background search, yeah. So it's not really a con because they are taking the whole risk. They're getting it done properly for those that do it properly. So with the price point they peg on you for this said property, if you're coming for it, you expect that, oh, they've met all your criteria properly. So the con, like you already mentioned, is where you pay the same amount and you don't be, those criteria are not met. You understand? But yeah, there are people that are doing a lot of good stuff, like really, really good development out here.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so let's go to our comments. We have Lina Jima's corner saying this is a very good education. Again, thanks, Funke. Thank you so much, Ma, for this feedback. Said though we in America build with wood. Yeah, true. Yeah, I just keep wondering how they are able to build with wood here, even to 150-story building. It is incredibly, but security in Nigeria will not allow that to happen ever. Ever. We're praying for a better Nigeria, so. Yeah, we are. I know. Hopefully. But from security, our fire ratings are very poor, man. Let's not even go into fire. Anyway, that's something else. That's true. So we have God Miracle saying the oil of architecture is on your head, man. Cheers to creating and building historic structures. Amen. Amen. Oh, okay. So he was actually even we have glasses there, and he's toasting to it. So we have Victoria saying qualitative conversation. Thank you so much for this feedback. Olufunala is saying this is so educative. Thank you so much, architects, for the answers. So we have Kalumi Oluwole. What are the things to look out for if buying an already built house? I think you've answered that question earlier. So probably I have. Yeah, but I think one of the things to add is to obviously know the history of the building. Know the history, like you can just, how long has the building been, the people that have transversed or that have lived through the building. Also go around, check out for structure, because sometimes if you want to sell a house, you might just do plaster here, plaster, you just cover all the deformities and all. So check out for those things. They're very key. Also, when you want to buy a building, you see ants, you see all those termites, see all those things. You need to, they're eating something somewhere. So you need to just check for all those insects infested. How obviously they are there, but check for all those insect infected houses. Insect infested. Something like that. Yeah, just check for those things, because you see ants, you see those little bugs. Something is wrong somewhere. So just check. Especially building has stayed for a long time. So check the plumbing, check the electrical members, because proper wire. You know that you come in. There's a switch that was supposed to be for, let me see, something light. You now come and plug something heavy and you load it. You might not show immediately. Sometimes your DB blows up. So you check all those things. So just check internally, check externally, and all possible structural deformities. If it's a new house that was just painted, watch out for where was just plastered. Most of the places that was plastered, they're probably covering something. So those are things you now do your physical investigation. If it's a completely new house, then okay, different. But if it's an old house that was renovated, and all, just check for those things. Thank you so much for those answers, and also this educative and insightful and informative answers. So before we continue with the comments, I would like to say we have a lot of new people today, and they're actually like in the comment section and actually watching. So I would actually like for you to subscribe to this channel. We have amazing content. We talk about lifestyle and travel and events, but basically all the topics we have on lifestyle is educative and towards change and social and behavioral change. So you would actually love it here. Our community is a very strong one. So please just click on the subscribe button. So we have Victoria saying qualitative conversation. Okay, so we have Olatunji Abibat, great discussion tonight. I have learned new things from the architect. Nice one, Funke. Thank you so much, Mark, for tuning in. Thank you so much for this feedback. So we have Victoria Akubo saying intellectual depth and experience on the field. Thank you so much for that feedback. So, you know, like I said earlier, I have so many questions to ask you, and I'd already asked earlier that you would say yes to coming back again, because we can't take everything now, and it's, you know, time is not on our side. We've gone past an hour. So please, would you come back to the show to continue this conversation?
Yes, please. It's a privilege.
Oh, thank you so much. Yay, I'm super happy. So let's take one more question before we'll wrap it up for today. So how often should maintenance be carried out in your home?
There are different types of maintenance. And I think I've mentioned in passing the different types of maintenance. But one of the two major that really stands out is the corrective maintenance. And the most important one I really watch out for is the preventive maintenance. You understand? So if basic things are done properly, you prevent it. But if at the end of the day, it comes out, you understand? So you now go the corrective route. You understand? So how often? It's a little bit tricky, because if things are done properly, you understand, you might not need to do any major maintenance at all. But if things are not done properly, you understand, mechanical wise, electrical wise, then you might need to now do checks. So it's a little bit I won't say 3 months, I won't say 2 weeks, I won't say this and that. But I know, just take it that a building has a life. You understand, a building has a life that has to be checked. So 6 months, that's biannually, annually. So depending on, if except you don't really trust what you've done on ground, you don't need to be going around and all. But if you trust, if things are done properly, 5 years, you shouldn't be thinking of any structural deformity. Obviously, every land settles. So if things are done properly, follow your load bearing, everything should settle evenly. You get, for things like paint, all those, just the way you do makeup on your face, you get to paint building maybe every 6 months or every year, depending on the quality of the paint used. So it has this, because people paint the building and they expect the thing to last forever. No. Yeah, like, you know, yeah. So you get to paint annually, and yeah, so maintenance, like, it's done properly, man. Just if you exercise, you don't need to. If you exercise right, you don't, and eat right, you don't need to. You might need to go for checkups, but you don't need to go for checkup all the time. You understand? So that's how the buildings are. Just do the right thing. It save a lot of money at the end of the day.
Okay, so you'll be talking about lifespan. So what is the lifespan for a house?
Christian, I was just talking about it with my team recently. Well, it's between 50 to 100 years. Yeah. So they say. So since we've not lived above 50, since we've not lived above 50, and we're not yet 100. Yeah. But some of these constituents have a lifespan, like the cement mix, that is expected to last at least 100 years, and some of these things. So yeah, once it's done, like there are different grades for cement mixture. So the ones that are used for ground floor is different from the ones that are used for a slab and all that, just from the column. So if you follow the grades, then you should last for a longer period. But yeah, 50 to 100 years, depending on yeah. So they say.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with the world. And thank you for this very insightful and educative conversation and discussion. So we have a Tyrannos who's saying, thank you so much for great delivery. Blessing to you both and all. Amen. Thank you so much, sir. And then Tyrannos is sending a heart of love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for agreeing to come back again to have this conversation. And thank you for honoring our invite and also for you coming here today. So in conclusion, what would you like to tell us?
Well, like I've said, please work with your professionals. Advise everyone on your team to use the professionals. And yeah, that's basically what I'll say as I conclude. But I'll drop two Uber facts. Before I leave. Fact number one is you use at least 20 skilled artisans in just a building. You use at least 20. So it's not an island, it's not at least. So the architect is just might be the top, but there are other key components, other key artisans that must work on that project. So use at least 20. And also another Uber fact that people should know is that a building expands and contracts. Yeah.
For real?
For real.
No, that's a good.
That's like
expands
and it's not like it's expanding and all. Yeah, but it does expand. And yeah, one of the things that causes cracks. Yeah, one of those things that you see those lines on the walls, for instance. If the building is very long, there's what we call the expansion joint. It's a technicality. So those are the points where we envisage that to happen. So we make provision for it so that it will just happen on that joint and it goes down naturally. Yeah, so it expands and it contracts. Everything it comes from the road, even roads, everything expands. Like roads, bridges, all those when you're on the bridge, I hear those those are joints for expansion. Yeah. So I like your face right now. It expands and contracts.
Like really.
I know. Yeah, it does.
Wow.
Just do go. So yeah, that's my 2 cents as I
wow, this last one, I'm blown away because it shocked me. It shocked me. Yes, it shocked me. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So is it due to elements like weather, or it's just like a natural occurrence?
It's a natural occurrence.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. So Olapeji is saying, thank you so much. This was really, really good. Patricia is saying, seriously, a building expands. So I think I'm not the only one here. A lot of people are like, oh, wow. So she's saying, wow. Godwin Miracle is saying, yes, that is basic law of physics, just like bridges. Well, probably some of us bred to pass physics, not bred to understand. So thank you so much, everybody that dropped a comment, that asked a question today, and that joins this conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. For our new subscribers, welcome to this community. This is Swaggerslifestyle. We talk about lifestyle, we talk about travel, and we talk about events. And also we have lots of giveaways on our channel. But today, the year has started, there is no giveaway, but sometimes we have giveaways on our channel. So please join this community, subscribe to this channel, and also this particular discussion, please share it to your network. A lot of people need to know all that we've learned today. And to our architects, we say thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge to the world with us, and thank you for saying yes to coming back next time. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a privilege.
Okay, so before that, I'll just like to say, Godwin Miracle is saying metal expands and contracts. So thank you so much for that, Miracle. You were saying something, over to you.
No, just thank you so much for having me. Yeah, that's what I have to say. Thank you so much. So guys, my name is David Anoja. Yeah, I'm a man of few words. Thank you so much.
I like that. Yeah, man of few words. Please follow him on Instagram at David_Onoja, and follow me on Instagram at Gbogbo_Swagger. So till I see you next time, please ensure you use professionals when building your dream home. Take care and good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.